Hi everyone, Happy New Year, and in today's video we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Brian. Mr. Brian is a Malaysian student who has spent a few years studying abroad in Germany. Today we will be discussing the experiences he had while he was in Germany and the 5 things that he likes about Germany. Here. Okay, we are live! Guten Tag everybody! Guten Tag!
Guten Tag! Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I'm Brian. I used to study in Germany and today I'm going to do the 5 things I like about Germany. So the first thing I like about Germany is how easy it is to travel around. In Germany, well, quite unlike Malaysia, the public transport there is pretty good, I would say. We had trains, buses. I think there was even a ferry you could get on sometimes. I was pretty lucky because the state that I was in, which was NRW, stands for North Rhine-Westphalen, and there they gave the students a bus card. It was something like a bus card, and with this bus card you could actually just travel around the whole state. You could take almost any train you wanted, every regional train, so I could hop from city to city, and it was all free. Well, rather paid for already at the administration fee at the start of the semester. That was fun. And now moving on to point number 2. City skylines of Germany. Germany has quite a number of big cities. I lived in Aachen, and Aachen was actually considered a small city, but it was roughly the size of maybe 2 Subanggaras, right? That's what you get for the innermost parts of the city, and that was pretty cool. I saw the city skyline just about every day from my apartment window. The architecture in Germany was also pretty interesting. There was a big mix of modern styles of architecture, and then you get the olden styles, you know, almost ancient kind of, I would say. Germany is actually a very historic place. The churches and cathedrals you see around have been there for hundreds and maybe even thousands of years, and they were all really amazing to look at. Germany also has plenty of forests. There are quite a few mountain ranges down south, closer to Munich. They line with the Swiss Alps and border a little bit of Austria. There you might even have the chance to go skiing actually. In Germany's cities, you actually get quite a number of large parks. These parks have all sorts of features in them, like a small river that courses through the entire park, or big lake in the middle. And sometimes you even get big flower fields right in front of the train station, and those to me are super. Point number 3, if we compare Malaysia's weather and Germany, we would tell you countless of differences. First of all, Germany has 4 seasons. Everyone knows that. Winters are amazing. I love the winter. Winter is... how do I explain this? There's like this big... this great sensation of winter, which is having to feel the cold on the outside, but when you wear a nice thick winter jacket, you feel extremely hot on the inside. And this kind of contrast in temperatures gives me an exhilarating sensation. I'm serious, it's amazing.
That was like the most beautiful sentence you've ever said.
I'm trying.
And that's poetic.
It's poetic.
That outer sensation.
This is what I did. This is like writing essays from Germany again for the final test and all that.
Damn, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Point 4. Germany has amazing security. Admittedly, there were times where you might walk into a slightly shadier part of town, but overall I would say you see police patrolling all the time. Sometimes, especially when there are protests in Germany, people actually adhere to laws, and you know, they're respectful. Nobody has to resort to any unnecessary violence. You feel pretty safe just walking the streets in Germany almost all the time. Point 5. Germany has amazing chocolate. I don't know how they do it. It might be the milk. I think German chocolate has some of the best mix of milk to cocoa powder ratios. Quite interestingly, We don't get that in Malaysia, but in Germany, when you buy almost any bar of chocolate from the supermarket, they will tell you the percentage of cocoa powder that they put into it. So you know exactly if you're getting 80% or 75% of dark chocolate, they'll tell you. In Aachen, there was a factory under the company of Lindt. This is a chocolate manufacturing company. My friends, two of my friends from Indonesia, they actually worked part-time there. So they would do the midnight shift, so those simple jobs like just packing chocolate and arranging stocks and all that. Quite simple work to do, and it paid pretty well for part-time. And sometimes during the day they would actually offer you proper tours where you can go in and they would explain the process of making chocolate and all that. I visited once, it was pretty amazing. They have a separate warehouse right next to the factory, and the entire thing is just a big chocolate shop. You get everything, all kinds, and some of the stuff you don't actually see in the supermarkets, or like the rare stuff, you know. It's only you can find in the Fabrik, as they call it.
How's the food though? Do you get like bored of the food?
I don't like the food in Germany. I don't like the food in Germany, I'll be honest. The food in Germany, okay, most of the time in Germany I would spend cooking, right? For related food, I would just cook. My roommate and I would sometimes take turns, right? We would sometimes take turns. Or if we're really lazy, we would go outside and order something back, or maybe call for some delivery. Most of the time we didn't deliver German food. We would get Turkish kebabs. Turkish kebabs are amazing. There was one place in Aachen that had the best, absolute best Turkish kebab I could find.
What's that place called?
It's like a typical kebab shop name. It literally just says something like kebab house or something. And every kebab shop is probably called kebab house. You just need to know where it is.
Nice.
It's so sad, you know. It's like they don't have a good name. It's just something, right?
Something kebab.
So, yeah, it's just something kebab, and it's like, oh, okay, it's that kebab, right? You walk the street and it's like, it's that kebab. And this one had great. It was a big portion of kebab, and then they had the best sauce on it. Normally they would give you something like tzatziki, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like a yogurt kind of sauce. But this one, normally they give you that. They gave you all the sauces that you could pick from, and one of them was like a special mix of curry powder and chili flakes. So it was actually spicy, despite being considered German, because Germans do not eat spicy, and that was quite sad for Malaysians like us. I spent a lot of time in Germany eating at Chinese restaurants, surprisingly, because I really miss the food here. One thing you don't actually realize about, you take for granted, you know, it's like things that you take for granted, simple things like food, simple things like having the house already cleaned when you get back. Doing the dishes, no problem, simple things like that, but when you see the overall state of the house and you realize I have to do that, it hits different, a little bit. German girls, I think I was not lucky. I think the city that I was in was not the best in terms of the girls. This is sad to say, because I did see some pretty good ones at a bus station? No, it's at a train station. At train station in Frankfurt. Frankfurt, for some reason, might have had better girls than Aachen. I don't know why. I was in the quiet dorm because my dorm was right above the classrooms. Of course, at night, there are no classes at night, but because the way that the dorm was built, I guess, you didn't really have space for parties. There was house 5 that I remember, which was like a sort of like an apartment complex on its own. It was right next to the football field, which was behind the campus, and that one had parties every night, every single night. Of course, I did go for 1 or 2. It was pretty fun, right? You know, go meet some friends, get a few drinks, but I didn't really have any problems with over partying. But people in House 5, maybe they did. There was one time where I was heckled. Well, I have the face of a typical Chinese person, I would say. And one time coming back from the gym with my flatmate, we were walking back to the apartment, and I think it was a group of 3 or 4 teenagers, and they just came up to us and they kept "Corona, Corona," and it was like, oh, okay. Don't know what these kids are up to, but man, they want to start a fight or something. It's not for me. And typically in Germany, as a foreigner, you would not want to get into trouble, because if you do, you tend to lose. It was a one-time experience. I at first didn't actually hear what they said to me. My flatmate did, and he turned around and confronted them. It was then I was quite surprised. I was, oh, what's going on? Are we fighting? It was like I was absolutely ready to start throwing hands, but apparently it was just a group of teenagers, and I thought, not worth the time. Alright, that's about it from me. Thanks a lot to Skies for inviting me to his interview, and if I were to recommend anything to people before they go to Germany, they might want to actually surprisingly pick up some Chinese, because I found there were a lot of Chinese foreign students, and it really helps that you make friends with them, because, well, they have friends everywhere and you can get just about anything you want done with them. Bye bye, Happy New Year, boys.